Good evening, everybody. Thanks to Harry Scarf for having me on his channel. Big shout out to all the great work he's doing in the Spurs community as well. And please like and follow Harry on the socials. I'm Philip King at Frankfurt Spurs on X. I've been on the channel before. Thanks again for having me on. I'm a British Spurs fan who's been living out in Germany for a while. In Frankfurt, and actually Eintracht Frankfurt is my adopted German team, so I think I'm well placed to give a bit of an update and a preview on the game on Thursday, and also my thoughts about the first leg. First of all, obviously the first leg, look, I think Frankfurt were very happy with the result, obviously going away to London, to White Hart Lane, and getting a draw for them is a much better result than it was for us as Spurs. Sure, Spurs could and should have scored maybe a couple more goals in the second half in that period where Tottenham was dominant. What I would say though is that if you watch the game back, it was probably only a 15-minute period really, or even a 10-minute period I would say in the second half, where Tottenham did overrun Frankfurt a bit. The first half I thought Frankfurt were better overall, and probably should have scored 2 goals at least themselves. I think Ekitike missed a good opportunity right at the end of the half. And even in the second half, after that period where Tottenham were dominant, Frankfurt kind of came into the game more. They had a couple of dangerous opportunities. In fact, every time they came forward, they were dangerous. Again, my issue with Tottenham at the moment, and indeed for the whole season, and probably stretching back to last season, is that we're just too easy to play against. It's very easy to set up against us. I think everyone knows how to beat Tottenham. And it kind of, in this case, falls into Frankfurt's hands, because Frankfurt anyways likes to play a bit pragmatic where they can, be a bit of a mid-block team and then hit on the break with danger and with speed. Frankfurt have got great speedy players. Bohoya is the fastest player in the Bundesliga on the left. Ekitike is no slouch and a great finisher. Normally they'd have Ansgar Knauf on the right-hand side, who's injured still. But they have a lot of pace in that team, and they have a solid defence. So I think Frankfurt are going to play the same as in the first half, but albeit maybe a bit more on the front foot. Be interesting to see how Dino Topmüller, the manager, approaches the game, whether he does play a bit more attacking at home, or whether he, kind of keeps the mid-block and try and damage Spurs on the break, or through transitional moments where they pinch the ball and play it quick. Essentially the same as what Wolves did against Spurs on the weekend, where there were just so many gaps in our Tottenham midfield and also in the back line. It's very disappointing, I would say, that Ange Postecoglou has not come up with any kind of solution or even strategy or way of making us more solid, regardless of the personnel that plays for us. So Frankfurt will be very positive for the second leg. They just came off a 3-0 comfortable home win against Heidenheim. Not a great side, they're at the bottom of the table as well, down there, promoted team. Nevertheless, they could have easily scored 5 or 6, and they managed to rest some of their players, take them off early, so they're going to be pumped and fit for Thursday night. Ekitike is obviously the danger man, along with Bohoya up front, I'd say. Hugo Larsson, great central midfield player, Swedish, only 20 years old, 21. Fantastic talent, and Robin Koch obviously marshalling the defence. Cao Santos obviously had a great game in the first leg. He's Kevin Trapp's understudy. They haven't really missed Kevin Trapp. I would assume that Cao Santos will play again even if Trapp's fit. Massive goalkeeping talent. And look, I think, Frankfurt will approach the game similar to the first leg. They know that they can damage Spurs in transitional moments. And I think that Dino Topmüller will continue his plan against Spurs. Tottenham do have a chance. We have the players that can damage Frankfurt, of course. In my honest opinion, I think the only way that Tottenham will win the game on Thursday and progress is if Ange Postecoglou adapts his tactics slightly and does play a bit more pragmatic, does sit maybe a bit deeper, doesn't take as many risks on the flanks to try and plug some of those gaps, which I doubt that he will do. My prediction is a 2-1 win for Frankfurt, unfortunately for Tottenham. The fans are going to be crazy loud. For anyone that's been to the Eintracht Stadium for a normal Bundesliga game, or better yet, a European game, it's probably the loudest stadium in Germany. I would say it's louder than Dortmund. It's louder than the Yellow Wall, simply because the whole stadium sings, not just the ultras, not just the standing fans. The whole stadium sings, and they live for European nights under the floodlights. It's going to be very loud. There's going to be a big tifo choreographed show with flags, with fireworks. It's going to be very intense, and I wonder whether the Tottenham players are up for it mentally. Let's see. Frankfurt will be going for their second Europa League, second UEFA Cup in a couple of years. That would put them on 3 if they win it, so more than Spurs. Obviously Tottenham are going to finally win some silverware, qualify for the Champions League, and save Ange Postecoglou's job, possibly. Whereby I think that even if Tottenham wins the cup, then Ange is probably gone. Unfortunately, my prediction is that Frankfurt will go through 2-1.